Hey there, this is Matt once again. We're about to another review, or I should say series of reviews on the Blade trilogy. This was a nice gift sent to me by Mega Pork Chop Express. Thank you very much for that. And of course, this time I talk about the first Blade film from 1998. Wow, 20 years ago. This came out 20 years ago. I feel very old. Wesley Snipes, I've always enjoyed Wesley Snipes as an actor. Love White Men Can't Jump. Passenger 57 has grown on me throughout the years. I like Money Train. Demolition Man, he's great as Simon Phoenix. When I reviewed the Stallone Marathon, I did the Stallone Marathon, I reviewed all of Sylvester Stallone's movies, which I have a playlist on my channel for those interested. And I watched Demolition Man. It was so much fun seeing him battle Stallone and such energy and great lines. And I had never read the comic Blade, but in the movie, he's a half man, half vampire. During pregnancy, his mom was bitten and gave birth to him. And because of the circumstances, he became a daywalker. Means he's got the strengths but not the weaknesses of the vampires. He can walk in the daytime. Silver doesn't hurt him. Garlic doesn't hurt him. Only thing, he's got the super strength. He's got the agility, heal his wounds, but he does have the thirst. So he has to take the serum to ease down the thirst for blood. And he hunts vampires along with his father figure, played by Kristofferson, who I enjoy as an actor. I like him in these movies. I like the second one. He has more to do. That's one of the positives I have with the second one, which is my favorite of the three, to give a heads up. But the first one's still a great flick, man. I mean, again, I know it's based on a comic, and I give credit to David Goyer. Not a big fan of the guy. He's written some stuff I liked. I like Dark City. I liked this movie and this movie, these two. On the flip side, he also wrote Demonic Toys and The Crow 2 City of Angels and Ghost Rider 2 Spirits of Vengeance, which I thought were shit. But he had a handwriting, I think, Death Warrant with Van Damme, which I liked. But then he wrote and directed this, which I thought was a piece of shit. And the guy, he can't direct, because I've seen The Invisible, I've seen The Unborn, and I've seen this, and I thought all three sucked. Which I'll get to that when I talk about Blade Trinity. But this one, you also have Stephen Dorff as the villain, as Deacon Frost. Stephen Dorff, I remember from the movie The Gate, which I enjoy. Definitely one of his best roles and best movies. Thought Stephen Dorff did a good job. Had no problems with the acting in the film. The action scenes are a lot of fun, especially the opening sequence and this club. There's techno music going on. The same techno music that you would hear in the trailer for Blade. It was simple, but I really like that piece of music. Really gets the adrenaline pumping, especially when the action kicks in. And it's this club behind this meat market that this vampire brings this poor sucker, this poor guy, and then blood starts coming from the sprinklers, and this guy's ready to get his shit wrecked. And there's Blade, the Daywalker, and he did really awesome action. And I think a lot of people would say it's the best action scene in the movie. Although I do think there are other really good action scenes in the film. But if I had to say the best, yeah, I would say that's the best one. So some would say they shot their load very quickly for the movie, but I still enjoy the rest of the flick quite a bit. But that action scene at the beginning, man, it's awesome. You got shotgun fun, shooting female vampires in the head, martial arts, takedown, staking, using silver. He takes one, stays, nails this guy, this asshole vampire, up into the ceiling, nails him there. Kicking people's ass left and right. He gets a little bit of swordplay, stabbing vampires left and right. They disintegrate when they die. He has this little thing that's sort of like a boomerang that cuts a bunch of their vampires' heads off. Just an excellent sequence. Yes, I will say that one action scene is better than any action in Black Panther. It's not to... No, it is. I strongly believe that. My opinion. I think it's a better movie than Black Panther. I think it goes at a faster pace than Black Panther. I think it has better action sequences than Black Panther. And I think Blade, as a character, seems more badass in his movie than Black Panther did in his movie. I say that because I know I'm going to get people asking me, well, how did you like Blade more than Black Panther? For the reason I just said. I think the faster pace, I think the action sequences rock a lot more and kick a lot more ass. I got more of a presence from the main character. And yeah, once in a while, especially in his fight with Stephen Dorff and that blood stuff, which I'll get to, the CGI isn't the most finessed. Doesn't hold up 100%. But considering it's 20 years ago, I give leeway compared to a film that came out this year and cost $200 million, which is nowhere near the budget of these movies. I give a little bit more leeway to this film from 20 years ago. But it's a great kick-ass way to open the movie. One leads to another. This one corpse gets brought in who's a vampire. This female doctor, which sadly she's not in any other films. I don't know what happened. I don't know if they just didn't want to write her character back in, or the actress wanted too much money, or they just didn't care. But yeah, you never see the female character again, which is too bad. She's this doctor, and she gets bit, and Blade helps her out in this hospital. The cops come and shooting at him, and I love some of the lines. Motherfucker, you out of your damn mind? And the cops shoot him, and he gets the doctor out. Probably because it reminds him a bit of his mother. Go to Kristofferson. Oh, another actor who's in the film, Udo Kier, who's one of the head vampire guys who don't like Stephen Dorff because they were born vampire, but Stephen Dorff, he was just bit and then became a vampire. But Stephen Dorff, he has a way that he wants to get rid of this council, take over the world, bring back this blood god, this vampire blood god. So you get to a scene later on where him and his buddies take Udo Kier out so he can burn to death and explode after ripping out his vampire teeth. And again, for the effects, 20 years ago, I've seen a lot worse. I've seen a lot worse. So they didn't bother me as much as maybe other people. Even seeing it in HD. And if you're wondering, the Blu-ray set has the features you would find on the DVD, but I'm really glad that I thought they looked good, really good on HD. I mean, I'm not the best guy to talk about picture quality, but I thought they looked great in HD. And again, I like Wesley Snipes. He's a man of few words, but at times he has a great personality. Like when he's trying to get information from a guy, and he's like, suck me, or something. No, he says, fuck me. And when Blake goes, fuck me, no, you suck this. They're ready to shoot the guy, but then the doctor doesn't let him. Fuck me, no, you suck this. I like that. I like that. The badassness of Blade in this movie. He's a badass motherfucker. That's what I like. I like that it's R-rated too. And people forget, this was Marvel's first big hit, if you think about it. This was before X-Men, before Sony had their Spider-Man, before all that stuff. Because by that point, they had some success on TV with Lou Ferrigno. Lou Ferrigno had the Incredible Hulk TV show in the 70s. You had other TV shows like Spider-Man. You had a Captain America movie in 1990, which was a piece of shit, which I ranted on my channel. That was a piece of shit. Dolph Lundgren's The Punisher, which I love. I have a review of that up on my channel. And one day down the road, I will do a Dolph Lundgren marathon because I love the guy. And The Punisher, I love The Punisher with Dolph Lundgren. It's my favorite Punisher movie. I really like the one with Thomas Jane. No, I have not seen the one on Netflix because I don't have Netflix. Maybe one day down the road. The Ray Stevenson one, Punisher Warzone, I don't like. But, I like the Thomas Jane one, and my favorite is the Dolph Lundgren one. Yeah, I know he doesn't have the skull, but guess what? The X-Men films, they never have their costumes. No one complains about that, so I don't care. If they don't if they have no need to complain about the X-Men wearing just black, why can't Frank Castle just wear black? I'm fine with it. Plus, there's skulls on his knives and stuff, so I don't know. To me, it's a badass movie. It's a badass film. But it wasn't a hit. I mean, the studio went kaput and it went straight to video, sadly. So it didn't get a chance to be in theaters. At that time, DC were the ones kicking Marvel's ass with movies. Superman and Superman 2, and those were big hits. Batman, Batman Returns, even Batman Forever, those are big hits. I mean, with Marvel, you had Howard the Duck, which was a flop. And not that good of a movie. I know my friend Mike loves Howard the Duck. I'm not much of a fan of Howard the Duck. I don't think it's the worst film of all time, but I can't say I like the film either. It's one of those that you watch, you don't. It's kind of like watching a car wreck. It's fascinating. I get some entertainment from watching it, but there's dead entertainment from watching a car wreck, and then there's light in the film. So, like my friend Mike OCP loves the film. Me, I'm kind of like, okay, so what are those? Does he have a con? Did I say duck tits? Is she over 18? Different conversation. But seriously, Marvel was not doing well with their movies. I mean, I love The Punch with Dolph Lundgren, but it went straight to video because, again, New World went to shit. Captain America was pretty damn fucking bad. I can't think of other Marvel films. I had. There must have been others. I mean, yeah, the comic book movies like Judge Dredd with Stallone, which I'm not a fan of. But this came out, and this was a big hit. And then 2 years later, in 2000, they had X-Men. That was a big hit. 2002, you had the sequel to this. You had X-Men 3 in 2000. I mean, X-Men 2 in what, 2003? No, 2002? 2002, I think, was X-Men 2. I think, yeah. I can't remember. 2000, man, it's been a while. I mean, I do find it on Wikipedia. Everyone can, so. My point being, Blade was a big hit. Surprise hit. And it's like, okay, a Marvel comic book movie that's rated R can work. And that was sort of my point with Black Panther. I'm not opposed to a Black Panther movie. It's just, A, when I saw the film, for me, thought it sucked. For the reasons I said in the review. And B, this was a big deal too. It's a Marvel superhero comic book movie with a black lead that had a decent sized budget, wasn't like a Marvel budget, and was a success. So I don't think these movies should be forgotten and pushed to the side. And on the flip side, to me, they're better movies. But that's subjective. Getting back to the film, I like that Wesley Snipes, he was studied in martial arts, and he really pulls off the movies very well. Fun fight sequences when they happen. Like I was saying before, I'm glad this was rated R. I'm glad they did not go with a PG-13 route, because it's definitely a bloody movie. It's definitely a gory movie, like the second film, and like the third one is a piece of shit. But the first two, what I like, it's action, but they got a good chunk of horror as well, especially the second one. Being the first one, from the blood sprinkling on people and everyone covered in blood, to later on when he has those new weapons and he finally two people in a hallway and it jets them both and they bubble up like that guy Big Trouble in Little China, and then they explode in this big rush of gore. I love that. That's satisfying. So after beat up this vampire wannabe cop, and they're called familiars, they have this tattoo. If they prove themselves good enough, then their master will turn them into a vampire. But at that point, they're just human, but just a pet for a vampire. And the guy says, fuck you. I said, fuck me, no, you suck this. They go to see this record keeper named Pearl. It's this massive blob of a figure. Like, looks like 1,000 pounds of fat, which he burns the shit out of. And then the female dot burns the shit out with this UV lamp in order to get information. And yeah, there's like one moment where the thing farts, which you didn't need that. So that's like one nitpick I'll give it, that one bit. But man, they just burn the shit out of this big thing, and it's not something I expected to see this 1,000-pound thing. It's like, okay, that's different. It's Jabba the Hutt's brother or sister. I know this sounds shitty, but I don't know if it was a guy or a girl. I couldn't tell. But it was a sibling of Jabba the Hutt. Burn the shit out of the thing with the UV lamp. And they get caught because the bad guys get there. And Kristofferson comes in, catch you fuckers at a bad time, shooting the shit out of them. You get this train bit where Blade takes this one guy that he keeps cutting off his arm, which was a fun little running gag. I think the actor's name, Donald Logue. I know I've seen him in other stuff before. Donald Logue. He did a nice job. And then in Bush Wright as the female doctor. She did fine too. She wasn't bad at all. And she's a doctor. She's trying to work on this cure for vampirism in order to cure herself. And by the end, she succeeds. And it kind of sucks that in the sequels, they kind of forget about that. Like, wait a minute, she made a cure for vampirism and cured herself at the end of the first movie. And David Goyer, you wrote all three and directed the third one. What the fuck were you doing? Like, she made a cure at the end of the first film. What happened to that? I mean, I'll say this, where in the second film, they bring Kristofferson back, but they call it like this retro virus thing, and I'm guessing that's what it was that he injected Kristofferson with. And then Ryan Reynolds, he does say he used to be one of them, so I'm guessing it's from that. But it's like, okay, I guess, but you would think that would be a bigger deal in the sequels. I don't know. Maybe that's just me. You would think that'd be a little bit of a bigger idea. I don't know. Now, this does have bullet time before The Matrix, because this was 1998, The Matrix was 99. Because there's a sequence in the daytime where Stephen Dorff put the sunblock on and meets with Blade, and Blade shoots, and in slow-mo, Stephen Dorff comes and the bullets go by. So it's bullet time before bullet time was cool for about a couple years, and then it got so overused that people got fucking tired of it. Now you don't see it anymore. Because everyone did it. Like, barely anyone did it. Like, Blade did it, and although technically Remo Williams dodged bullets before both of them, so just saying, Remo Williams might have been the guy who did it first, the dodging bullets. Just didn't have the effect of the bullet time. But this does have the effect of the bullet time, because you see the bullets going slowly by Stephen Dorff's head. That's another thing that sort of gets forgotten, but it's interesting when you watch the film back. Sadly, they kill Kristofferson, and he finds him, gives him the gun, walks away, hears the gunshot, and I'm glad they brought him back for the sequel because I liked him in the sequel. Then they killed him off in the third one, which was fucking stupid, which I'll get to that when I rant on this bullshit. But one thing that confuses me, and again, it's weird because David Goyer wrote all the movies. Blade in his gun has stuff that kills vampires because when he shoots, they disintegrate. So that's silver. Which is another thing. I never thought silver was a thing for vampires. Wasn't that for werewolves, silver? Again, I'm not much in vampire lore, and they don't exist, so technically you can do anything you want. But is silver a thing of vampire lore? Again, I thought that was werewolves, but I bought into it. That doesn't bother me. It was just a question I have for people who study that stuff. The thing I do have a question about and kind of bugs me is that was in Blade's gun. So when he gives the gun to Kristofferson, he shoots himself. If he shot himself with the gun Blade gives him, and his bullets would be silver because all he does is kill vampires, and even if it's a human, it's going to kill the guy anyway. How could Kris, can't even say the word right, I'm confused, shoots himself? How is he alive for them to, oh, he turned. But he shot himself with silver, which would have been Blade's gun. So how does that work? Yeah, it's a question I asked when I'll review the sequel, but it's just, again, it's a nitpick. I'll put that in the nitpick category. And I should be talking more of that in the sequel, but I mentioned that because I watched both of these back to back. It's like, that's kind of weird. But in this one, he's killed off. He goes in, crashes a motorcycle, machine gunning, shotgunning, fights two in the hallway, blows him the fuck up, entertaining. The fight scenes are not too edited, so I actually understand what's going on. It's actually him doing these fights and kicking ass and just well choreographed. It's one of the great aspects of hiring Wesley Snipes. First off, he has a great presence. Second off, he studied in martial arts. He's very well trained in martial arts, and it really shows in these movies. I mean, he shows some in Passenger 57, a little bit in Demolition Man. I would say these are, well, at least these two, are the best showcases for his martial arts. I would think so. Does a great job. And then this little turn happens where his mom appears. And he finds out that, I believe, Deacon Frost, Stephen Dorff, turned his mom. And he gets caught for this ritual. His blood needs drained. This vampire blood guard. And Stephen Dorff, he does a good job. He has a nice, once in a while, he has some fun humor to him. Like Donald, the guy who keeps getting his arm cut off. When Stephen Dorff takes Blade's sword, he tells Donald, hold your arm out. Hold your arm out. And the guy's scared. And Stephen Dorff's like doing this. It's like, nah, just kidding. It makes the guy laugh. I thought that was pretty funny. In Bush Wright, she saves Blade. He comes back and kicks fucking ass. Donald comes at him. Donald has his shades. Wesley Snipes has his thing, takes his fucking head off, grabs the shades, and just intense, well done fight sequences. Kicks ass, ripping throats out, throwing them in the people's faces, beating the fuck out of them, cracking necks. I do think they fucked up at the very end of the ass kickery because these are vampires. He's just breaking their necks or punching the shit out of them. He doesn't stab him with silver. He doesn't stab him with his sword. His sword's stuck and then he grabs it. He punches, kicks the shit out of him, grabs his sword, and then the body disintegrates. Why do they disintegrate when he didn't stab them? Like, at first I thought he was fighting humans and beating the fuck out of them. Or those familiars, as they call them. But then when they disintegrate, I go, oh, I guess they're vampires? But, like, wait a minute, he didn't stake them. He didn't stab them with his sword. So how you could kill vampires just by breaking their necks and punching the shit out of them? So I think they did a fuck up there. I wonder if it's because later on, for continuity, maybe they couldn't have the bodies in the background, or maybe in continuity they're like, oh shit, the bodies are in the background, so maybe they did that later. I don't know the whole deal. I don't remember them saying on the commentaries. Maybe I missed it. But again, if someone could answer me that, I would love to know. If I'm wrong, if I missed something, please feel free to tell me. But when you watch that scene again, notice he's just punching the shit out and kicking the shit out of him, breaking necks and whatever. Then grabs a sword in order to go after Stephen Dorff, and then the bodies like disintegrate. Like how? Yeah, like another little like nitpick. I did it. Unless I missed something, feel free. But I still love the fight sequences. I love the choreography. No shaky cam. R-rated, so they're not holding stuff back, which I really appreciate. Now, in the original ending, it was going to be much more of a special effect orgasm fest where Stephen Dorff turned into, well, I don't want to say the blob, but kind of the blob. Just this red blood that goes around in this typhoon. And it's on the, I'm sure maybe you can find it on YouTube, it's on the features. I'm glad they did not go with that, because that would have been really lame. So they went back to just being Stephen Dorff. And there's a moment where he gets, I mean, you have this cool sword fight, especially the moment where it's like up close to Wesley, up close to Stephen Dorff as they're going super fast with their swords. That's really cool. They use that in the trailer, at the end of the trailer. I like the nice sort of beat between the two. And then when he gets half his body cut off, and then the top half comes back to the bottom half. And yeah, again, I know the CGI is spotty, but for 20 years ago, I can give some leeway. I do appreciate Wesley Snipes' reaction where he's like, so there's some nice, good bits of humor where he's like, I like that. The fight goes on, throws stuff at him, these things that are like, throws him like darts, like they were ninja stars, including one to his head, makes him blow up. And that's where he says the line, some motherfucker is always trying to ice skate uphill. Never heard that line before, but Wesley, I thought, sold it. And that's when he kicks the last one right into the middle of Stephen Dorff's head. Fucks his day up. He says, keep your cure, because from this cure, he can lead a normal life. But he's like, keep your cure. I got war that's still going on, and I have a job to do. And the last bit is we're in Moscow. One guy whose name I haven't mentioned that I should is Stephen Norrington, the director. He had previously done a film called Death Machine, which I really enjoy. I reviewed Death Machine at least once, maybe a couple times. But Death Machine, very underrated film where Brad Dourif is the villain and a group of people are in this office building. They work for the government for weapons, takes place in the future, and this robotic, practical looking, robotic metal teeth creature controlled by Brad Dourif is chasing these people throughout this building, this high-rise building, which I think is a pretty cool, underrated sci-fi horror flick. Has some nice directing choices for a lower budgeted flick. Impressive job by a director. I can see why, looking at Death Machine, you would hire a guy like that to do Blade. And the only other film he did, I think, was a League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, which it has its problems. And the first time I saw it in the theater, I hated it because I was so, for a lot of reasons. But I saw it a few years ago on DVD, and I didn't mind it as a time waster compared to other movies, but I don't know, that's a film I want to give another watch. I have it on DVD. One day down the road, I want to give another watch. It's not great, but I don't know. Again, I watched it, and I'm like, Sean Connery, I know you said this is the reason why you retired. You've done worse movies, man. I mean, fuck. You've done worse movies. You were in that Avengers movie where you were around people dressed as the fucking Care Bears. I shit you not. Sean Connery, Avengers, teddy bears, Care Bears, what the fuck? People literally in teddy bear suits and like pink, yellow, like Care Bear teddy bear suits. That was worse than A Lady of Extraordinary Gentlemen. Meteor wasn't that good of a movie. Much worse than A Lady of Extraordinary Gentlemen. You've been far worse, man. I'd rather watch that than Medicine Man. Medicine Man was boring as hell. That's like one of John McTiernan's worst movies. It's not his worst, that'd be Rollerball remake, but it's no Die Hard, it's no Predator, and hell, it's no Hunt for Red October and no Last Action Hero. I like Last Action Hero. But yeah, Stephen Norrington, I think it was a bit, I mean, it flopped. That's why he kind of, I think because of people probably giving him death threats to Sean Connery. Maybe there's more behind the scenes. Because there has to be more to the story to that. Other than he saw the movie. Because I know this is off tangent, but fuck it. The story was, I think Sean Connery was offered Lord of the Rings, and I think was the Matrix films as well. I know he's offered Lord of the Rings, and he said no. And then we found out what they were and how big they were. He regretted it. And so he took this while not really understanding it, and then it became the one that bombed, and he got pissed. But there has to be more to this. And then he retired. He wanted to retire. But there has to be more to the story. There has to be more to that story. But and if there's not, then I kind of feel bad for Stephen Norrington because the movie's not great, but it's not one of the worst movies ever either. Hell, I'd rather watch that than Blade 3. But yeah, I just wanted to sort of stick up for Stephen Norrington. And he also worked on some of the effects for Split Second. Roger Howard, he worked on some of the creature, the monster. He worked on that on Split Second. Very underrated film, Roger Howard. So, the guy, he deserves another shot. Death Machine was great. Blade was great. I don't know if he's directed others. If he did, I don't know about him or I haven't seen them. But he deserves more shots, man. Maybe he just retired or maybe he went to movie jail, which they don't let you direct. I don't know what the deal is, but he did a great job with this movie. Flows at a good pace, was never bored with it. Like I said, it has great fight sequences. Stephen Dorff does a good job as the villain. Blade, Wesley Snipes was born to play Blade. He's perfect as Blade. Love the concept of a half human, half vampire. I will say I like this more than the Underworld films, and I reviewed the Underworld films. I liked a couple of them, particularly like the second one and Awakening. But I think Blade 1 and 2 blow all of them out of the water, in my opinion. I'm definitely more of a Blade fan than an Underworld fan, but I don't hate all of them. Again, I reviewed all the Underworld films for those interested. But I know at one time there was talks of Blade meets Underworld. I don't know, can't be worse than Blade Trinity. And there's been talks of a Blade 4. I don't know if it'll ever happen. I think they'll never work with Wesley Snipes. And when I get to the third one, I'll probably talk a little bit about that. But I think they will just reboot the character or cast someone new and younger. That's just how it is. But yeah, Blade, I think it still holds up to this day. Great flick, great action flick. Love that it's R-rated. Love that it's not holding back. Really enjoy the film. Blade equals badass to me. Definitely up there with my favorite comic book movies. I'm not sure where it will be on the list, but it'll definitely be up there. Same with the sequel, which That will be the next review. My favorite of the three. Directed by Guillermo del Toro. We will see you guys later. Take care.